Hello, this is Stephanie from Montreal doing my Art2Ride submission, my very first one with my mare Gracie, who is a Welsh Cob cross with Thoroughbred, and in this video she is 12 years old. So I'm actually redoing this voiceover because I've had computer issues, so I haven't seen this video since it was done, which was last October. So at the time she'd been off for a long time because we had barn issues, switching barn and being at places that didn't have adequate footing and all that, and then waiting to get our new saddle. So she had just been back in work for about a month, but before that she had done a solid 6 months of Art2Ride work. So here we are doing our work in hand in the indoor arena. So in the work in hand, I want her to have good activity first and foremost. So I want to make sure that her hind leg is stepping at least in the hoof print of the front leg at the very minimum. And I also want to feel that, you know, she's active and going forward and reaching for the bit. So I want to have a constant, already switching, okay. Sorry, as I said, I haven't seen this video in a while. So I want to have a constant contact on the outside rein, and I use with her a lot leg yields and a little bit of, not leg yields, sorry, shoulder ins, and a little bit of leg yields too. Because she had developed over the years of doing jumpers, which she really wasn't ready for because of her back. I mean, the classic that everyone does. So she wouldn't step under her body with her hind legs. So I like to use the leg yield at the walk to show her to do that a lot. And I keep a constant contact on my outside rein that she can reach into so that we're closing the circle of energy and not just letting it slide forward, right? And with the inside hand, then I'm just using it more to guide her movement and help her find a steady contact. So she's looking pretty good here. A little bit more activity might be an idea, but you know, she wasn't fit. It was a hot day, so I think maybe I wasn't getting as much activity as I normally am. So here in the shoulder in, we decided to film from the middle of the arena, and now I see why all of you guys are filming from the outside of the arena, because we don't really see very well lateral work when we're filming from the middle, right? So for sure my next video I'll try to film somewhere else. So yeah, that was it for today. I mean, she was relaxed. Her work in hand, really, she's good at it. That's the work that she's the most steady in. When I'm further away from her, like at the lunge, it's not always easy. She has attention issues, really. She likes to pay attention to everything. She is the big boss of her herd, and she wants to make sure everyone is okay at all times. So anything that happens, she's aware of, which I guess is great in a zombie apocalypse, but sometimes it's a bit of a struggle to make sure that she's paying attention to me. So here we are lunging at the walk. So I want to make sure that she has good activity, first of all, and that her inside hind is stepping well under her body, which she is doing here. Nice and relaxed movement. So at the end of the arena there is actually where her herd is. So often, you know, she'll turn her head and have a look as I'm working. But I don't make a big deal out of it. It's fine. I know she's like that, and I just bring her back to work as soon as I can. Here there was a bug on her bum. We had these little orange ladybugs. I think they call them Japanese ladybugs or something. And when they land on you at the end of the year, they bite. Like, they take a really big bite out of you. So if they land on her, I tried to get them off, and you'll see a few times during the video, if I remember, some of them land on her face, and she has like a total freak out. So here I transitioned her into the trot, so she lifted her head, which, you know, doesn't make for the best transition, but it's okay for today. We'll just keep working on those. So I want to make sure I'm pushing her hind quarter to the outside. And you can see as I do, she'll reach out more and more, but then when she gets to the corner, she likes to pay attention to what's going on there. So I like this movement here. It's regular. So what I'll be looking for at the trot is I want, of course, her diagonal pairs to be moving together. That was just a little freak out because there was some noise or something. But you get to see her canter a little bit. At the time, I hadn't really done any canter work yet because she was slowly getting back into work, and canter isn't her best gait. So I am careful when I use it. I want to make sure she feels strong enough and feels confident enough to do it. But I think I do a little bit more later on. So as I was saying, I want the diagonal pairs to be moving together, as if I took a picture at any point, I could see that the lower part of the hind leg and the upper part of the front leg are parallel in movement. And when she's in a stretch and everything, you can see that it has a good rhythm, and she does achieve that. Now she's looking around, someone's filming, all that. So yeah, and the other things I'll pay attention to is, of course, that her abs are getting engaged. So if I can see that little line on her tummy forming, that's really great. That her back is up and working, and she really lights up. Like the muscles in her top line really light up when she's working properly. So it's easy to see that she's doing it well. And I keep an eye on the point of the hock, because I'd like that. You know, she's fairly straight behind this horse. I mean, she's not like a super athlete or anything. She's just good for me. But we'd like that the point of the hock to be making more of a circle than an elliptical movement, right? Showing that there's good flexion in the hock. So when you'll see, it makes quite a difference in her. When she's reaching for a good stretch, you see that she gets a lot more flexion in that hock, and she even gets like a little swing, you know, a little spring in her movement, which is really nice to see because she used to move like a truck, really. No offense, Gracie. She's doing pretty well here. So I keep asking. You can see, as I was saying, she's not a horse will stick her head down and just keep it down the whole way through. She just goes up and down. So I take what I can. I stay quiet. I passively see, that was what I was saying, that she gets when she gets those bugs, she'll just flip out her head. But she really only does that those 2 weeks out of the year where they bite. So what was I saying? I don't remember. Here I am back at the walk. So that was a fairly good transition. So we're gonna start working on the other side. So you see, I always, when I start my lunging work, I want her, oh, there was a bug here. That's why I'm doing this, going to get it out of her before it bites. So I'm not the one moving. She has to be the one moving away from me to start the lunge work. It seems like a little detail, but it's important to establish that with your horse. I'm liking this walk. It's 4 very separate beats. And you can see here that she's really stepping into even in front of the hoof print left by the front leg. And she was pretty regular. It's funny to see that now, because I used to think, that was her good stretch. That's how far she could go, which was about, knee height with her nose. And maybe two months after steady work, all of a sudden she found this brand new, really deep stretch where she has a bigger swing and more flexion. And it really changed, and I was impressed to see that, what I thought was fine, she actually had a whole other level of fitness in there. And you can see a little bit here that she's kind of starting to show that her withers are getting a little bit higher, and when they got really higher, that's when she got that nicer stretch. It's like the whole body, the whole rib cage moves up, and it really changes the way of going of your horse. So here again, she never starts off with a good stretch. Transitions are not there yet, but I just keep in mind what Will says. Just keep doing it, and eventually they'll be there when you need them. And so far in the work, everything he said would happen has happened. So I keep my fingers crossed and keep working. So this is good. I like the activity in this trot. Wish she was paying attention a little bit more to me, but She has good bits. So showing off her little canter here. I didn't ask for it, so I'm just gonna gently bring her back, always staying calm. So now, you know, you never, if your horse offers something and it's not what you wanted, you just calmly bring it back. You don't need to get excited or anxious about it. You just tried something and you just kindly say, you know, no, that wasn't exactly what I was asking for. Oh, I lost my image there for a second. Okay, here it is. So, good trot here. So I want to move her bum probably a little bit more to the outside here so she can find that stretch and push off with her back leg. She's a little better on this side normally, a little stronger. She had, when she was young, she got caught under a fence for about 3 hours. So she had a pretty bad injury on that hind left. So I always kind of coddle her a little bit, and it's improved so much with the work on Art2Ride, and x-rays are still clean. So I'm just aware that it's a difference. And sometimes you'll see when she's trotting, she'll carry her tail a little bit to that side. So, you know, it shows that there's a little bit of tension there. So I work a lot with osteopaths and acupuncturists and massage therapists just to loosen up that area and keep it as loose as possible so it doesn't get worse and it gets better. So here we are at the walk. So I'm noticing something I noticed for the first time in that video is that I am driving with my hips like crazy, and you do not want to do that. I was brand new in the saddle. I looked at other videos from clinics and stuff, and I wasn't doing it. So I don't know if it's the saddle or if it's because I was trying to hide the fact that I didn't have a whip on that day, because I don't know why I didn't have one. But so I'm just driving with my hips. I mean, that's what you learn to do in jumpers, right? Drive your horse to the base of those big jumps, and it is a very bad habit that you must break. So I know that after that, I got a trainer from Movnat to come over and help me to stabilize the area as much as possible and try to lose that habit. And I don't know if you know Movnat, it's natural movement, and it is amazing. It can really change your life if you're struggling with stiffness and injuries, or just if you want to get the body that, you know, is our birthright, which is a movable, flexible body. Anyway, so let's get back to Gracie. So again, she got those bugs off on her head, so that's when she gives that big snip of the nose, which she really doesn't do the rest of the year. So I don't worry about it, and I don't say anything about it. So at that point, I mean, and we just started again. I think this was like the week after the clinic or something like that. And so her level of fitness really isn't there. I just had to do the video, so we tried to get a little something on video at least. So Gracie goes up and down with her head a lot, and I have to always readjust my reins to make sure that I try to give her a steady contact, and that has been it's hard. I mean, we never learn to have to change our contact so much, right? So this is still a work in progress. So I never want to take backwards contact in her mouth. I can take a contact that I would call more like passive resistance, you know, and then I would use my leg to drive her into that contact to get a stretch or to have her respond with her hind end. But it's hard because she's always moving so quickly, and then I have to readjust my rein, and then she moves, and then I have to readjust my reins, and I feel that's one of the harder issues. And I tried to, you know, just give a little smile to the corner of her lips, and sometimes she will respond best when I raise my hand, and sometimes she likes it more wide. And I feel the difference is the level of activity. If she has a correct activity in the back, then she'll just stretch into it easier. So never mind all that driving with the hips. Don't do that. That's definitely something that needs to be fixed. So here, that's not the level of activity that we would need normally, but that's what I'm working with today. So we're going to give a little leg yield here. So I keep an even contact on my outside rein, and then I will use my inside leg, add the girth, and have my outside leg. And when I say the leg, it's really the upper part of the leg. That's important. You have to make sure when you're putting, your outside leg back, that it's coming from the hip, that it's the thigh part that is going back, that you're not just bending at the knee, and then thinking that your leg is back. Because your horse, that a lot of people have, I've heard from a lot of people that the best riders really, they ride their horses from their belly button to their knees. Like everything kind of happens there. And if you look at masters like Nuno and all that, you can certainly see how beautiful and strong that part of his body was, and even when his shoulders were rounded and everything, he was still getting such nice work from the horses. So in the corners, there's a couch in that corner. So that corner, she kind of tries to avoid going into it. So the walk is getting a little bit more active. Sorry. The walk is getting a little bit more active. So here I am trying to do a shoulder in, and that was not very good. So I would be giving another try at that. I lost her activity at the beginning, and what would have been the right thing to do is to just put her straight again, reestablish the activity, and try it later. Also, filming from the middle, you don't really see much of the shoulder in. I mean, she doesn't have huge angles right now, right? She's not really fit. So this one is a little better. See, I lost her hind end. She came off the track here, so I had to push her back into it, and she had a few okay steps, and for that level of fitness, I'll be happy with that today. So all that irregularity and stuff that I was talking about, that's a lot more at the trot than at the walk. At the walk, she can give okay, like longer bits, where she'll be okay. This was a little better in the leg yield, but again, we don't really see because of the angle of filming. I was having saddle issues all day, trying to readjust the shims, and then the saddle pad sliding back, and then I just could not get that saddle to stick right. Still, that driving that you're seeing, no good. I lengthened those stirrups about 3 holes now, gradually, as the leg gets longer and everything, and now it looks much better. See, what I'd be trying to do here is driving instead of just having a whip. That would be a much simpler aid and more comfortable for her. Still, the walk is nice. It's four very distinct, is that how you say it? Sorry, French is my first language, so beats. And she's stepping. I could be stepping a little bit more here. And again, she got those damn bugs. So when I set her up for the shoulder in, a lot of the time what I like to do is just leg yield a few steps into the corner. I find that it sets it up better, and that you can get nicer ones. So here we are at the trot. No, she wasn't really fit enough to be doing much trot work, but we got a little bit done just so you could show. So you can see that she's not, behind the saddle. It's really not filled up enough yet, but it's getting there. It's much improved. So right now there's no activity. She looks stiff in the back. I don't have any contact, a good established contact. So, and there's a bug on her face. So I don't get impatient. I just put my leg on. Here I went into a walk transition because I felt it really wasn't going nowhere. So sometimes it's okay to just step back, reestablish, make sure that you're okay, that your horse is okay, and everything is moving properly. And then you just ask again for the trot. It's really no big deal. Well, sometimes just transition getting into it wasn't great, and again, looks like I have saddle issues there. Yeah, you can see a little bit her tail here, that it's pointing towards the left, and this is from that time that she had the injury, and that's something that we really have to be aware of on her, and she gets regular body work so that doesn't get any worse. But it was big enough an injury that it might always be an issue. We don't know. As long as she's happy and moving. Another bug. I think that one bit her for the amount of reaction she had. So, sorry, my image went away again. I should keep my finger on this. Okay, so here we are at the trot. So again, not enough activity right now. So she used to be a mare that rushed a lot. That was her, her way of defense, just rush, 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 rush. So I do tend to err a little bit on the side of no activity, because I don't want to freak her out and get her more active, but I can see now that really activity is the key, because if she's active enough, she's pushing enough from her hind end, and which is transferring to her back all the way, her top line all the way down into my hand, right? So it's just getting used to the movement of the horse. She has a pretty big trot. When you're sitting on it, it's bigger than it looks. So again, not enough activity here. I would need to get a little bit more so she can stretch in. I'm using the corner again, as I said, a little bit of a leg yield to get into the corner. I mean, just 1 or 2 steps to really help to get her leg under. Sorry, just recovering from a month of bronchitis. So a little bit more activity would be nicer here. I'm using just passively resisting to her and driving her into my hand so that she's coming into the contact, but I don't want to be pulling back in any way. You don't ever want backward pressure. And then she takes it and then she puts her head right back up. So I have to really be quick in changing those reins. So see, as soon as I get a little bit more active, she gets a nicer swing in the back. You can see that her diagonal pairs move together better, and as soon as she's up and loses activity and drops her back a little bit, it's like completely different horse. The movement doesn't look as good at all. But here it's doing okay. We have a little bit of a swing. I like her to be reaching down more. And see, sometimes she goes up and I don't know if she's going to go down right away, so I don't shorten my reins right away, and I've been changing that a little bit now. I just shorten them right away. So a transition into the walk. As you see, I keep my weight off her back when she transitions, and then I sit into the walk. You don't want to be sitting in there while they transition. It's already hard enough. And here we're getting a pretty good stretch in the walk, which is typical. If I transition from the trot to the walk, she's like looking for that stretch. And she's getting better at finding it herself in the trot, so she doesn't need it so much in the walk. And a little bit on these sides, you're starting to see that she is getting her withers a little bit up, starting to get a little bit uphill with a better push, and that, of course, has just kept improving over the winter. You can see the indoor arena we're riding in right now, unfortunately collapsed this winter, killing a 26-year-old girl and 2 horses. So now I don't have an indoor arena to ride in anymore, and it wasn't snow related, it was really the structure. So, if anybody's building a barn or anything, please do not get one of those. Apparently it's very common that they collapse, and if someone's in there while they do kill them, which is very sad. It was actually Gracie's best friend horse who passed away. So now we don't have an indoor arena to ride anymore. So for a while we were not riding, and now that it's summer finally, so started riding again. So this is a good walk. I'm getting 4 separate steps, and she's stepping under well. So we're going to use the stretch that we had to walk to try to translate that to the trot, which did not happen in this transition, but it's okay. I'm going to try to use the activity in the trot to get her to give me a little bit of the stretch. So here I'm a little bit passive resistance and driving my leg to get her to stretch. And using, again, in the corner, I'll just like leave the track a little bit and then leg yield her, you know, one step into it. So for me, that would, in the corner, there wasn't really enough activity. So I'll use a circle and try to build up more momentum and get, you know, that hind leg under her in the back so she can push up through her withers. And it helped. She's looking better this time in the corner. So I'm asking for a little shoulder in there, which I am not getting. Not very well anyways. So I will give her a stretch, get her time to get her muscles ready, get some good activity, and then I will just try again. I mean, it's no biggie. As I said, she's just starting again to be in work there, so I'm using a little leg yield to maybe get started into my shoulder in. Oh, I don't know what happened. Oh yeah, I remember there was we used a camera on one of those posts and it started beeping. It freaked her out. Yeah, now she's just looking in that corner because she heard a noise before. Okay, so back to the trot. So I'm letting her stretch down. Anytime she comes and she asks for the reins and the stretch, I just give it to her now. But see, she goes right back up and it's like a whole foot of rein I have to. So by opening my my arms, I'm grabbing some of that loose rein, right? So for the small changes, it's easy just to open and wide, but sometimes there's not enough. You have to. So see, I'm breaking my my wrists here a little bit sometimes. Something that I would definitely not want to do. You want to keep your hands straight in front of you with, of course, a straight line from elbow to mouth. So we're trying again our leg yield here. It's just her attention was on that post that beeped before as she was going by. Oh, saddle problems again. Gracie's like, fix it, please. I did get off and fix it twice, but yeah, it seems like the shim's pad and the saddle pad go in opposite directions no matter how much I tie them. So here we have a pretty good walk. 4 steps, a little bit more activity would be nice, but this is just giving her a break, right? And she's starting to get tired. So again, using the corner just for a little mini leg yield. Really, it's just to get that hind leg under and pushing. You always keep that in mind. And you know, when you're putting leg for that, you don't want to have like just putting constant pressure, right? With Gracie, it's easy because she has a big swing of the belly, so you really know when's the correct time to give your leg aid, right? It's just when that belly is going away would be the time when the leg is, the inside hind is leaving the ground. So it's really easy to use that, and you can see, I see Will doing that beautifully, you know, his legs just follow the belly of the horse and increase the swing. And by increasing the swing, it's like sending that whole energy forward. It's really beautiful to see. And towards the end of whether it be rides or lunge or work in hand, she always gets better, more concentrated, more settled, more in the zone. So it's not. I always quit when she's in a good place, you know, that she's settled into a little bit of steady work, and we hope that it improves and it keeps getting better. But she always needs that time to stop paying attention to everything and really get into the zone and into her work. Trying a little bit of working trot there. You see, she's a horse that's pretty straight behind, and her neck comes out pretty straight from her body. So, you know, even the working trot she's not ever going to have a head super high and huge flexion, you know. But this work is about improving them and making them the best they can be with what they have. And other horses I'm working with, you know, they have more ability, more flexion, more concentration, more stuff like that. And so we take them from what they can do and improve them. And I know that the Art2Ride work has improved her so much, her body and her attitude, and I believe it with every cell of my body. So you see here my rein is loose and flopping around, and you kind of want to avoid that. You know, you want to make sure that you have a steady contact. I mean, super light contact. It's just the weight of the reins that we're talking about. But it has to be there. You can't just throw away the reins, because then you're losing your circle of energy, right? It's not closing, so you'll never be able to really get that back and that wither up and get the flexion in the hocks. So it's really, I mean, it's really just making a little smile in the corner of those lips. It's not pulling the nose of the horse in, you know, as you can see some people having the nose of their horse in their chest and behind the vertical, and definitely not something that you want. So you can see when she goes upside down, like she just went in that corner, she completely loses the the back leg, and she, you know, the diagonal pairs don't move together anymore, and when she reaches down, it's sort of whoo, magic. The picture all of a sudden gets so much nicer to look at. She looks more like a metronome. Okay, here I would want more activity, but I believe she was really tired. That she was sweaty, and you know, she has to carry my weight, and that's not no small thing. I'm 5'11", so you can see that when she does reach out and that my circle is closed, you know, that I haven't dropped my reins in the front and that I'm there for her, then we get a little bit of a swing in the back. Like it's starting to not move like a truck anymore, you know. It swings from the ground. So as I get more activity and she gets more stronger and more steady in the front, that we both get better in the contact, then that swing just gets better. And these horses that used to move in very normal ways all of a sudden have a little expressive trot that's really good to look at. And you can see they feel good and they're happy to be moving that way. And it's good for them. That's the thing. At the end, she's a little bit more tired, so I have to struggle more to get activity, but she's more steady, you know. So she does much better there. So I think I was just again a little bit of leg yields and shoulder ins, but not pushing her so much because she wasn't all that strong yet. She needs some time to build some muscles to really be able to do it. And again, in transition, you make sure you're off your horse's back, and then once she's walking, then you go ahead and gently sit in there. You can start to see, you know, that when she has a really deep stretch, her withers go up, and her legs, even though the activity isn't extreme, like her legs go all the way and track up behind her body and under her body, which is good. Oh, I wish I had a horse like that, like some of your horses that I see that just go down and stay there. Even the other horses I'm working with are like that, and it's so fun. You get to look all good up there and do your work. But that's why I like Gracie. She's never a dull moment. Oh, she's such a good girl, really. I love her to bits. She taught me so much.